I'm still soaking wet.
We'll start at this point a little before 6, right?
We're green. So just so y'all know, we're green. That green means we're recording, so.
Oh, we are recording.
Dennis fired us up over here. All right, so we'll call the meeting to order. The light above, see that green light, it changes colors. So for all those being entertained watching on YouTube, this is our new recording system. So everyone keep in mind you are being recorded and streamed live in China and everywhere else, right?
Yes,
So, what are you trying to do there?
we should be on this
Oh, it should be
TV.
on the TV. Which signal is supposed to be coming, showing the HDMI was the one you had connected, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't need that at all.
Yeah. Don't know?
No. I need to pull up the website and just see if it's streaming.
That green light's on, it should be rolling.
Yeah, you just may
I'm
not
sure
be
it's
showing it.
streaming, but it should be displayed on the TV.
No one wants that. So. All right, let's get started. Let's see, roll call here. Who's missing? Is everybody here? One, I have to count with this many people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're all here. All right, so entire committee's here. Approval of the agenda. So you see the agenda there in front of us. It's pretty straightforward. I sent it to you last week, I think. Anybody have any changes to the agenda they'd like to make? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right. Period of public comments. Does anyone have a public comment at this time? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. And I think we have a correction to the minutes or a clarification to the minutes. You want to talk about that, Mary Ann? No, it's, oh yeah, it should be on, just left on.
Don't matter.
The total of the budget amendment for the libraries, Lanham Library, is $17,501.
Yeah.
The amount from part-time to full-time was $11,190.
So we'll just make a correction in the minutes to clarify that the section there on the first page of the minutes about the fourth paragraph down, the Lanham Library requested reallocations from part-time pay to full-time pay of $11,190 and a total reallocation of $17,501. So we'll get that corrected. Anybody have any other comments or corrections to the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to approve as amended.
I make a motion. I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Looks like we have a few school board amendments. Dr. Lawson, you won't come here and talk about those, but if you don't mind standing kind of in front of that thing, and hopefully
Trying to
you'll
be right there.
be recorded.
And I didn't know if y'all have copies of these or not.
We do.
Okay, so if you don't, I have copies right here. I'm gonna call your attention first to 1412024-1. This is what this budget amendment does is it brings in a public school security grant into the budget so it can be used. You'll notice it's going into other equipment. The committee, the safety committee has already met this year, and some of the initial costs, we're gonna be using this for the screen or the window film on some of the entrances to the building. This won't pay for all of it, but that's what some of it's gonna be used for. There's going to be continuing to turn over a certain type of locks in some of our doors. Basically, it has to be used for school security purposes, intruder purposes and that kind of thing. And so that's what it will be used for. So that it's just to bring it into the budget where we can start to utilize that according to the committee. The second one is -2. We, at the high school, back in springtime, the fire alarm at the high school started to act up. We have been trying to utilize that. As you know, the high school was constructed in a couple of different time periods. We've been able to get those systems to work together. But in the spring, we brought in engineering to work at it. We're starting to have bigger problems, and it is unfixable. And so we have done an evaluation, and believe it or not, a fire alarm for a high school that size is $572,947. It has been through the bid process. The school board has approved that bid. And so we need a budget amendment to bring that amount of money out of the unassigned, fund balance. So that's what this -2 is to bring money out of unassigned fund balance, put it into the building improvements line, capital outlay, so that we can, install this new fire alarm. I will call your attention down there. Obviously, it has an impact on fund balance. Our restricted fund balance will remain at 6.3 million. Our total unassigned fund balance will go from 9.58 million down to 9.0 million. During my tenure over the last 4 years, we have made a conscious effort to build our fund balance so that we can pay for, last minute costs.
Things like fire alarms.
Without having to come to you and ask you for $500,000 for fire alarms. So this is just one of those things. And so, I mean, if you want to give me the $500,000, so I don't have to take it from my fund balance, I'll sure take it. But what I'm asking for right now is to take it out of our fund balance so we can utilize it for this cost.
Does anyone have any questions on either of those school amendments? Seems pretty straightforward. All right, in that case, can I get an amendment for, a motion for both amendments?
I'll make a motion for both amendments.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Any other discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Lawson.
Thank you.
Mariana?
Okay, we had projects that we approved in the 2023 fiscal year that weren't finished by year end. So I moved the money from 23 over to 24, and this is the remaining balances for those projects. I did want to point out on number 1, the first copy that was sent, I said that was the library, no, Tullahoma Health Department parking lot. That's not correct. That's for these ADA improvements out front at the CCAP.
Okay. So is that here on this 2024-02, that's in
It's in
this?
the copy that I gave you.
Thought I had managed to grab the right one.
The one I just handed out when I came out.
Yeah, I think
Should say
that's,
number 1 should say ADA improvements at CCAP walkways.
oh, yes, I'm sorry, yeah. I think that's what both of these are.
Oh, you got two?
Somehow, yeah, maybe that's
Here you
where,
go, Jill. Here's your copy. Lynn's gonna-
I've stolen your copy.
agenda. Okay.
All right, so this is just a cleanup from moving one year to the other,
Yes,
mostly
so we
for
can finish
leftover
those
projects.
projects
Okay,
that were already approved.
any questions on that? Do we have a motion to approve that?
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Did you put this in the package, right? This is number 9,
Yes.
the next page,
And
all right.
This one is the one about,
So, this next one, I know I hadn't had a chance to talk to y'all about the Coffee County Clerk Budget Amendment, and I hope this is fairly straightforward, but, she had originally had in her budget request that we received for 2 additional positions. Apparently, that's only supposed to be 1. And so, Mayor and I have discussed with her and several others, and, you know, we feel like it's appropriate to pull that money back. We don't have to leave that money there. There's no maintenance effort required, and it'll keep everything above board and fair to do it that way. So, so what, you want to talk about the numbers here, Mariana?
it's a reduction to the deputy line item, 29,398, and then the taxes that go with that. Total of 33,117. That returns 33,117 to unassigned fund balance.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? Any comments? All right. Do we have a motion to approve that?
I'll motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, carries. Number 10, Mary, I think you gave this to me last month. You want to talk about this one a little bit, this child thing?
Yes, the letter's self-explanatory, but it was sent to me, so we forwarded it on to the budget for request. It's a secret safe place. This is some legislation that we passed while I was a member of the General Assembly. And they're simply asking, there's over 100 of these safe places across the state, and Coffee County has some safe haven facilities. It's a place for newborns to be taken, and they're requesting some very modest funding for some training, up-to-date training and necessary materials needed to facilitate safe surrender of children. To that need mothers, and it's total of $250 would cover all of their training and getting their training packets, printed materials to them. So told them I would present to the committee and encourage them to help out some. There have been some very successful, probably some tragedies averted by having a place where folks.
You said we
We
have-
can't imagine maybe surrendering our child, but there's people out there that either through drugs or some other terrible reason they might be forced to do that or feel compelled to do that. So this
You said there are some facilities here in Coffee County that are equipped to do
yes,
that?
they've got some places here.
Do you mind sharing what those are, if you
They're
know?
all confidential.
Okay, I didn't know that. I
Yes.
learned something, I didn't realize they were confidential, so.
Absolutely. They're supposed to be very safe places, so people have,
So the training materials is intended for who?
for the mothers.
For the mothers, okay.
Mothers that could be at risk.
Okay, makes sense. Any questions about that? Any discussion on that? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve that? It is a very modest amount, that's for certain.
I'll make a motion. I'll
Okay.
second.
All right. Any other discussion?
That is a total of $250.
Correct,
Yeah.
$250, and it is a legitimate
It ought to
program.
be more, it ought to be more.
That's what, yes.
That was their request, so, all right. Any other discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Let's see, who made the motion? You made the motion.
I made the motion.
Okay. And then, final number 11 here, Bonnaroo pay for Hillsborough. And Joe, you asked me to put this on the agenda. Do you mind talking about that a little bit? Or the mayor can, either one.
I'll talk about everything I know about it. Is back in March, I talked to Hillsborough Chief, Brandon Gunn, and he told me that typically Bonnaroo pays them $15,000 a year to provide service at Bonnaroo. And that FEMA had encouraged them to now charge $22,500 for the equipment. They're still donating their manpower. So I called Bonnaroo immediately after that conversation in March and told them that we needed an increase to $22,500. They asked me if this was a county expense or not, and I said, no, sir, this is Hillsborough Fire Department. And I was told, okay. Last thing I heard about it until Commissioner Hobbs brought it up in a meeting that this request may be coming. I think, Commissioner, you may remember that, because I had not heard anything else. I talked to Chief Gunn then, said, what have you heard from Bonnaroo? He said, nothing. They're not paying us. So we are where we are now. And we are getting our Bonnaroo money very soon, but we're, somehow or another, we've been stuck with this, either through failed negotiations with a fire department in Bonnaroo, or just Bonnaroo just deciding they're not paying any expenses whatsoever to do with any kind of emergency services.
So we got good volunteers put in effort and.
They did, they
and,
fully covered it, took all their equipment out there and stayed, and,
So it sounds like something to be sure and take care of next year, and I'm sure we will.
yeah, it is, it was a lesson learned, but
I have a question. Why would Manchester City not absorb this cost? Since
I
it was
think in the
annexed?
future, we can come to an agreement where Manchester may work that out, but I think, my opinion is that we probably need to look seriously, maybe some responsibility for it at this point, just because of where it is. We don't need to leave Hillsborough hanging,
No, of course.
and, so it's gonna be up to the committee how they wanna handle it, and Commissioner Hobbs, you may know more about how Manchester might handle it in the future, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the future, I think it is Manchester's responsibility. Very good point, right? And Alan Lindley's fees should be handled through Manchester too. It's in the city. They get the sales tax and all that. This year, I feel like, as the mayor said, right, there's just a communication breakdown, and somehow or another, the county gets the bag, okay? Because I think he felt that he was negotiating through you with them, and, you know, shame on him for not getting clarity on that, but I don't think we leave them hanging. That's just my opinion about it, but next year, I mean, you know, when we had it, we had to take care of fire, police, and, Homeland Security, I guess, is the right thing, but now it's in the city has to facilitate whatever they need with Bonnaroo. We shouldn't really be doing anything,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because it's not ours no more, right? We don't get the sales tax or anything associated with
But we
it,
did implement, an event fee.
but that's for anybody, right? I mean,
No, it is
you-
for anybody.
You can't, and you know, and they can't pick and choose what they wanna pay, right? I mean, they
No.
made a donation to the sheriff's department, right? In their letter, they say they're not gonna do any of that. So I really feel like they owe the money. I think we should pay it, and then we should ask the question, is how I think we should do it. But I don't think we should leave Hillsborough hanging this year, and they should do a better job of negotiating the deal with the city.
My point with the event fee is when we were discussing that, is that, especially since Bonnaroo was leaving the county's purview, that does not negate the county having some expense because of Bonnaroo. The sheriff has to respond to events whether or not Bonnaroo's, if there's some significant event out there, the sheriff has to respond. If there's, and so one
And
of
he
the.
would, and they
he
would,
but our part of our.
Everybody would from across the state if they needed.
They would, but my point was, part of our discussion when we passed that was, we foresee the possibility of the county having some expense regardless of how the tax revenues are floating around, and was part of the rationale for passing that, so.
I agree with
it-
part of it,
yeah.
but, I mean, the part that I don't agree with is the event happens in the city. It's the city's responsibility to negotiate those deals for everybody, even the sheriff's department.
That's not, I'm not talking about Bonnaroo's expenses, I'm talking about the expenses that come from having a large event in your county regardless, extra patrols on the highway, whatever. To us, we felt like that there was some need to have some compensation for that, and that was part of the rationale for passing the event fee. That's,
I mean, and they covered that, so I mean,
Yeah.
I feel good about all that. I
Right.
think the city did a poor job of negotiating a deal for everybody involved.
yeah,
Right, and I don't know how we got involved is really kind of where we are, but we did. It's the first year, it's new, and I mean, I get it, so.
And I think there's an inherent misunderstanding by the folks, our friends at Live Nation, maybe, that Hillsborough Volunteer Fire Department is a separate organization. You know, the notes for the equipment and everything are signed by individuals that are chiefs there. The county doesn't have any direct oversight over that. It would be the state fire marshal's office that would probably have the first direct oversight, Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance. So I think, but Live Nation is interpreted as a county facility, and they've just flat out sent us a letter severing any reimbursement to county.
Yeah.
Direct. And so that's kind of where we are now. There still could be the possibility of recouping that. I don't know, with negotiation in the future. But for right now, I think Hillsborough is in need of that money for a lot of reasons.
I remember when Alan had come because of the same issue, the same problem, and my thing to him was, did they request him? I mean, did they request Hillsborough? If they didn't request him, then why did they go out there? I mean, if they requested, I think they should pay. If they
Yeah.
requested them to be there, then, I mean,
Well, and I agree, and I mean, and that was a deal that Brandon just, and I talked to Chief Gunn as well, right? And I think he felt like that the county was handling the negotiation for him, and he really didn't do anything other than to tell the fee, went to the meetings, and he just kinda assumed, cause that's how it always had worked, okay? But
Yeah.
there again, I mean, it is a city of Manchester
Right.
issue. They have
It
to
is.
provide those things or negotiate a fee with somebody to do them.
And I did explicitly tell them that Hillsborough Fire Department was not a Coffee County entity.
Mary Ann, did you have a question or comment?
I let these certain people know months ago, and they knew it last June, that Bonnaroo was not going to be reimbursing, so
so they, yeah.
I'm just saying.
But that doesn't
And
mean
I
they
let
didn't
them
think
know
somebody
again
was.
in
yeah.
February, and I was under, didn't Bonnaroo pay Hillsborough directly in the prior years?
I don't
I
know for
think
sure
I
how they
remember-
pay
I don't know
I
for
think they
sure
paid
either.
them directly in
I
prior years.
thought they
That's
did, but.
They
what-
paid them more than what they paid them, what they've been paying them, so that 20, was it 20?
They've been getting 15 is my understanding.
I know, but it started out being 20-something, then they cut it every year until it's gotten to this.
Well, FEMA has a schedule they send out for reimbursement for use of equipment for
Right.
events, and their spreadsheet said 22.5. I had that in front of me when I was speaking to
Okay.
folks.
Because there was some negotiation between us and Bonnaroo. And, you know, I don't know what all it is, I mean, it's all just kind of hearsay, but we
Right.
did have negotiation about splitting the fee with Bonnaroo and some other things, so we did, kind of try to help in some manner, and that's probably like the confusion. And I told Brandon, you should always have some kind of contract with somebody, or you
Yes,
shouldn't show up. And so from the city side, I mean, you asked the question, right, I mean, we're having a conversation about, do we do a 5-year deal with Hillsborough, and then we pass it to Bonnaroo, so I mean, the city will pick it up going forward and figure out how you get this done.
So we just need to make right what's owed now.
Yeah.
And then move on,
I would recommend that. yes.
22.5.
Okay.
So the county's gonna pay a bill that we really don't own, that Bonnaroo should pay, so we're in the bailout now?
Well, kind of back to this chairman, Seaborn, right, I mean, we are gonna get a fee, it'll be our first year of getting a ticket.
How much
and
is that?
fee.
It's 240,000, I think is the
I'm
number.
waiting on it.
I know you're
Yeah,
waiting on it,
we're
but,
working on it. I've got a message to it, but I think 240,000 is the number.
That's what it looks like.
okay.
So I'll make go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I wouldn't be as near
The event fee.
liable to pay a bill that, but they're volunteers, I mean, you know, and I'd hate to see that happen to them, and they can't do what they volunteer to do, right, I mean.
Well, I do too, but I don't see us having to pay for somebody's mistake.
And could we table it and reach out to the city and see if they would take
Or
that
at
up?
the same, we could, I'm not gonna make the motion, but we could table it and have another round of talks with Live Nation between now and the next meeting also, and say, look, here's, once again, clarifying everything. Can we do this? And if they turn it down again, then we'll have to take it from there.
I mean, we certainly have time to do that, I think, don't we? It's not an immediate
It's not
crisis for,
immediate thing.
No,
I can
Exactly.
contact them
have to
tomorrow,
start the
and
conversation,
yeah, I'll send them
because
something in
he
writing
feels
and
it
call
can
them.
be.
Well, I'll make a motion to table it until next month's meeting, until we find out more, find out what Live Nation's gonna do.
And Holly, it is on the budget and finance agenda for the city, I think we meet Monday.
So, thank you. They do great work, they're wonderful, I appreciate all volunteer firemen. So I don't want them to be hung
I'll
out
second
either.
that motion.
I was gonna say, I was just fixing to ask you.
I was waiting on
All right, so we have a motion, just table this issue till the next meeting. Any other discussion about that? All in favor? Aye. Any others? Number 12, other, and I thought I had another, but apparently it got resolved. I'm sorry, you got something? What was it? Oh, yeah, you had something. Go ahead and bring it up here. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot that,
Grant.
yeah, there was a grant application. I didn't bother to modify the agenda because I had other on here,
That's fine.
so.
This is a grant through the Tennessee Secretary of State for a state computer grant. The first part of this is $2,400 to upgrade the actual state computer.
But say we don't have
computer
copies,
office.
right?
It went out
I sent
electronically.
them.
Okay, yeah. I saw it. I apologize that I didn't
I
bring
didn't
it.
send them to the whole committee.
Yeah,
But anyway, it's 100% paid by the state, reimbursed. It's for $2,400. The second part of the grant that I did not send out, because I just found out, the $25,000 grant I received last year, there was $9,000 left over. They're gonna allow us to extend that till the end of this year. So the total amount of this grant will be $11,795.
and you just need permission to apply,
Yes.
right? As soon as you call for grants. So anybody opposed to State Tennessee giving Andy some money? Do we have a motion to approve the grant approval?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll second.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Any other business?
Yes.
Mayor?
Want to bring up, coming in a future meeting, probably the next meeting would be a recovery court issues, which is the new drug court. And as we all know, we've had an issue with the drug court here in Coffee County. It's in the process of being dissolved. We're having complete severance from any liability of anything that's owed. I've had negotiations myself and Attorney North with the state of Tennessee, and they have typically given us $70,000 a year to help fund that operation. Of course, the other monies were raised through the nonprofit. Now that we no longer have a functional nonprofit, the state understands that we're going to need more than that 70, so they've agreed to give us $100,000 for this first year, and fully reimbursable to pay for a director and anything else we can do with that money. I met with Attorney North and Judge Carter and Margot Lamb, and have had
Margot Kilgore, sorry.
Margot Kilgore, and they've had negotiations with the district attorney and the other judges to begin to start this process back up as it's sorely needed. But we're going to do it very slowly and very small. And there's a potential need, maybe use some of our opioid funds in the future to help with some of the utilities or rent, maybe nothing necessarily long-term recurring that we're going to have to pay as far as salaries. But right now, we're just probably looking at a director and maybe a very low-paid assistant and eating up that $100,000 and maybe getting, I'm just going to throw this number out because it was talked about, maybe just 4 to 6 defendants in there. Very manageable, but have something for some of the worst offenders to go. So, but the state is going to reimburse us fully up to $100,000 for any expenses that we had. So right now, it's all we're worrying about, spending $100,000. And so we're not doing it yet. I'm just telling you at the next meeting, maybe we may be ready to ask to prop that up.
Okay.
There will be a preemptive budget submitted, Mr. Mayor. There'll be a preemptive budget submitted in short order. That's what I'm told. And I think Judge Carter's kind of taking the lead on that, so.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
I'm
Yes,
holding some funds that I normally would send to the foundation. I can't remember how much for the quarter
We need to
ending
talk about how that is spent.
April and June.
Okay,
We really need to talk about how that's.
Our
I
number
haven't
one,
given it
our
thought
number one thing is to
since
make sure that we don't adopt one iota of liability from the
Yeah,
past.
I haven't
But
given
we
it
still
thought.
need to have that functioning.
Right.
And at some point, we'll make it robust again somehow. But it's gonna have to just restart all over again. So the state realizes the need for it, so they've done a kind of a mid-year budget adjustment to 100.
Okay.
So just be prepared, and we'll present budgets. We have to present that to the state, we'll present it to the county, and then hopefully move forward at that point. And the judges themselves are collaborating now on a potential director. They've got some ideas.
Is there a board appointed for that as well?
Not
or is
yet.
it- Okay, but I mean, there will be of some
I'm not
type.
sure exactly how it's
it
going
works,
to,
how it's structured.
it may be domiciled under the mayor's office.
Okay.
And just for now, anyway, so we don't have to have all the peripheral, we don't have to have anything other than direct supervision of that one employee.
I understand.
So
Okay.
we'll run it all past everybody before we move on with that.
Lord, you had something?
I do. Tuesday, I was present during the presentation of the county insurance program that they're bringing forward and wanting to present. And I know there's gonna be a work session that's gonna be coming up so they can present to the whole commission. I came Tuesday and listened to it, and so I think that's gonna be something very interesting that everybody would.
Thank you, and it may be sooner than later. They've got some time in the next couple of weeks, and, you know, it's kind of like getting your teeth pulled, having to listen to insurance things. But we've interviewed 5 companies. We've had a broker walk us through that whole process, and also, and we have the plan, same plan the city of Tullahoma uses, about 13 other cities in the state use it. It has the potential to save us some money if our management's right. It also would include, I want it to include a potential clinic component, where we would have a clinic here, and they've got all the facts and figures for that, and how that would happen, and that's where we're gonna see the savings in the future, is the utilization of our basic health care, out of the doctor's office and emergency rooms, and controlling things. So we're getting to the point where we need to get everybody's input. We went to, it's about an 8-month process now, and they've done a very good job explaining it. But we're gonna look at the calendar tomorrow and may call a meeting and a work session to listen to it, and it may come pretty quick,
Okay,
just because of their calendar. And there's about 7, basically, you've got a central component, and he's got about 7 contractors that work with him in pharmacy and administration and in insurance. They do all the claims and adjudications, and so we have to get all those people flown in again and get everything done, and they're paying for all that. And there's a few dates that work with him, so try to get as many of us together and have a succinct proposal as possible, and then do Q&A.
sounds good. Anything else? If not, we're adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted you to know that I have